Of the discussion today is focus. I want to tell you not only our own experience with focus, but also use some case study examples of companies and their experience with focus. And I also, before I did that, wanted to tell you the story of Bomgar Corporation. And the reason I do that, a couple reasons. The main reason is because I want you to see, I guess, what kind of humble beginnings can lead to a $30 million, 150 employee company. When we launched back in 2003, I don't think anybody with any entrepreneurial training would have said we should have launched. I mean, the company was so immature and so basic, and what we had was so basic that I think anybody would have said, oh, it's got to stay in the oven longer. This thing is not yet ready. It's not baked. It's not ready to come out. The problem is there are tons of ideas that stick in people's heads, and they basically swim around in their heads for years, and they never actually get out on the market. So the big takeaway from the story of the company is if you have an idea, get the product to the most basic functionality that someone would actually write a $1 check for and kick it out there on the market and let the market decide whether it wants it or whether it doesn't. So anyway, the story of Bomgar. So the story starts with I've always been a techie. I've always loved technology, and I've always been into computers and that sort of stuff. And obviously in life, if you can do what you love and you become incredibly good at it, you can also typically make a lot of money at it, no matter what it is. Just the world rewards people that are incredibly good at what they did. So my goal was to be incredibly good. And in that context, I got a bunch of computer technology certifications. You read the book, you take the test, you get the knowledge, et cetera, et cetera. The problem with that, and this was from college from 99 to 03, is that none of that did me any good when I was driving around the state of Mississippi. This is my 79 Buick LeSabre, which I drove until 2 years ago. It's got an antique tag, which means no taxes. Anyway, well, I was driving that car back in when I was at college, and it was not a fun car to drive. You know, the AC only half works, and it's, you have to turn it off at stop signs because the exhaust will catch up with you and start polluting the cabin. I mean, just stuff like that. It was not a fun car to drive. It was not a joy to jump into my car to drive around the state of Mississippi. So that led to a desire and an idea, and the idea was, bada bing, right here, idea, was, what if I could build some technology that let me connect to an end user's computer without actually being in front of their computer? So I could see the screen, I could move the mouse, I could type on the keyboard, and I could do all of that from somewhere else. And if I could do that, then obviously I did not have to drive the 79 Buick LeSabre around the state of Mississippi. So that was the idea. The original product, I found some technology on the internet, and I hacked together. I made it do some things it was not intended to do, and ultimately, my lines of code, the stuff I wrote, was about 90 lines of code. And it was developed in my college dorm room. This is actually not my college dorm room. This is the girls' dorm because it was developed in the lobby of the girls' dorm, which is where my now wife was staying. So I spent a lot more time in the girls' dorm than I did in the guys' dorm. My wife and I have now been married 9 years. Anyway, sitting in the lobby with my laptop writing some code, that's where the original product got developed. When the product was developed, it took about 6 months to develop the first version of the product, and that was from December of 02 to about May of 03. It solved, I immediately went full-time with the company I had been working for 4 years, and it immediately solved some problems for me. One, no more inefficient phone support. Because if you didn't drive on site, then you were stuck doing the phone call of click here, click there, et cetera, which is very similar to getting your grandmother to program her VCR over the phone. I mean, it's just next to impossible to get the person on the other side to actually go through the series of steps when you can't see what they're trying to do, so you're not even sure what to tell them to do. Well, that's what it's like troubleshooting computer problems on behalf of someone else. So no more of that, because with my new technology I'd created, you could actually see the screen, so you could troubleshoot it, basically as if you were sitting in front of it. Also, no more on-site support. The only reason I had to go on-site was if the computer was like smoking or physically broken, which most of the time is not the case. It's just some piece of software is not working. Anyway, so the next idea was, wow, that was a lot of work. That took me 6 months. I'd kind of hate to spend a whole 6 months and the only benefit to be that I get to use the product myself. So it was, hey, well, maybe somebody would pay me for this technology that I've created, because it was a lot of work, and I can't be the only tech support person on the planet that has the frustration of not being able to see the computer screen of a remote computer. So what I did is I walked over to the Belhaven Computer Lab, and I made this brochure. This is the original brochure I made to sell the product. It's made in Microsoft Word. It took a while because Microsoft Word is not good at making brochures. Anyway, but it basically just says, hey, here's what my product does, and here's how it compares to whatever else is on the market. And if you give me $500, I'll send you a copy of this product I've designed. So my original business plan was I was just going to send this brochure to random companies and see if they would buy it. Well, so I did, and the gut reaction I got was, who are you? Why are you sending me a brochure? No, I'm not paying you $500 for whatever it is you developed. And I thought, you know what? Rather than trying to push my technology on people who just don't know or care who I am, I need to get it out there on the internet and let people find it who already know they have a need. It's way easier to sell something to people who are self-identified as having a need than to convince someone who's basically, cold that they need a product that they didn't know they needed. So the people I was sending it to apparently did not realize they had a need for this type of technology.